When you plan your trips abroad, always consider leveraging the currency differences, because I meet many people who simply find this one amazing deal. For example, going from London to Norway or going from London to Sweden, Switzerland, places like that, and they know that they have to pay only 20 euros for the flight. Now they think, wow, this is an amazing deal, my holiday will be so cheap. What they don't realize is that when they get to that place, everything is so expensive. They don't realize that one beer in Norway may cost them the equivalent of 7, 10 euros, okay, one small beer. So people don't consider those costs. And what happens is that they go there and then they are disappointed because they end up spending so much more. And I really believe that you have to consider those things, because sometimes it's better to pay a little bit more for your flight or your train to get to that low-cost destination. And of course it depends on the person, because if you are a busy professional, you work maybe 10 to 15 hours a day and you have only 5 days of holidays, obviously you can afford to go to places like Ibiza, Mallorca, Saint-Tropez, go to those places, spend quite a bit of money every single day, because you're gonna stay there only for 4 or 5 days. You can afford to do it. And in this case, the price of the flight really matters. However, if your situation is different, if you are, let's say, a student, and maybe you have 2 months of holidays, or maybe your job enables you to work from your laptop, so you decide, you know what, I'm gonna travel for 4 weeks. Or perhaps you are an online entrepreneur and you can work from your laptop all the time. Well, in this case, the price of the flight doesn't really matter so much. I would actually pay more attention to the prices you'll have to pay, you'll have to incur in your destination. Basically, using those currency differences. Because the reality is that the longer you stay in your destination, the less important the price of the flight is. I mean, think about it. You may find a very cheap flight to a place like Mallorca, let's say 20 euros both ways. You may go there for 4 weeks thinking, wow, that's an amazing deal. But when you get there, you'll have to spend so much money on accommodation, on food, entertainment, and so on. But then you may spend a little bit more, maybe 250, 300 euros on flight to Thailand. But when you get there, you'll be able to get $7 or $8 accommodation. I'm talking about accommodation for 2 people, all right? You will be able to eat $2 meals, have $2 massages, and so on and so on. Basically, this VIP lifestyle. And that's why I believe it's amazing to leverage those currency differences, because they enable you to live the lifestyle you wouldn't normally live. Because, for example, if you are in Ibiza, you want to go for a night out, get a table in the club, get a bottle of champagne, invite your friends. Maybe the day after, rent a boat, have a nice boat ride, have some day trip. You have to spend 1,000, maybe 2,000 euros if you want to do it the right way. Now, if you do the same thing in Thailand, you'll spend 10 times less. So you gotta consider those things. Because, for example, last year I went to Argentina for the first time, and when I was in Buenos Aires, I exchanged my money to Argentinian pesos, and I was like, wow, this is amazing. I was mesmerized because suddenly my money was worth so much more. And I really like this idea of making your money worth more. Because if you work very hard to make your money, why wouldn't you make it worth 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 times more if you can? And it's possible in places like that. So when I was in Buenos Aires, I could go to really amazing restaurants, invite my friends, eat a great, delicious meal, drink some wine, and pay the equivalent of $7 to $10 for that meal. And same things wouldn't be possible in many places in Europe, but since I was in Argentina, it was possible. It made me feel good. And by the way, it's also good for local people, because don't forget that when the country is in crisis, the currency is weak, you go there, you bring your money in, okay? You really boost the economy, so you actually help the local people. You create jobs in tourism industry, so basically everybody benefits. It's one of those win-win situations, and that's why I really propel you not to only consider the price of the flight, but also consider all of those currency differences and how they can impact the overall cost and the overall quality of your trips.